What's up? What's up? Chad Belding coming back at you. Another episode of This Life Ain't For Everybody podcast. Thank you all so much for the ratings, the reviews, the subscriptions. Please keep telling your family and friends. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by our friends out of Sacramento, Sacktown, capital of California, Finz Featherz Guide Service, owned by our good friends Pappa and the one and only Chad Money Mendes from WEC, from UFC, from the Aldo fight, from the day he whipped Conor McGregor's ass on 10 days notice. He did end up losing the fight, but it could have very easily been called in that first round, and Conor, I think, pretty much felt really lucky that Chad Money Mendes was not in the top shape of his life during that fight. But Finz Featherz, everything you want in an outfit or a guide service, look for their awesome hunt combo packages available to go fish with Dan Henderson, to go fish with Clay the Carpenter Guida, to go fish with athletes and celebrities and musicians, and then enjoy a UFC after party or a concert. The combos are awesome. Learn more about it at pheasantfeathers.com, pheasantfeathersguideservice.com. We'll get the exact website coming up, but you can find them at Instagram, also at Finz Featherz. And Chad Money Mendes, Michael Pappa, they're doing a great job with it. Chad Money Mendes, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, brother. It's fun to be back. Thanks for all the shout outs too. Holy shit.
Yeah, man. Well, it's everywhere. Finz Featherz, you see my hat?
I know. I love it. I'm rocking the same one, just a light match. And
I got this Chad Mendes shadow box being built, and I was texting you last week about those speckle belly hunt pictures, and I couldn't find them. I ended up finding them, but something happened when I got this new iPhone, and then you know they do the download, the transfer from the cloud. They got lost. So then went on the server, and I found them, and so I got this shadow box being made with your gloves, your UFC gloves signed by you, and some of our hunt pictures, and then some of the training pictures of when you broke my ribs that day, which was bullshit. That was not that video. It was my fault because Joey Rodriguez is like, bro. I'm like, what, bro? He goes, bro, you shouldn't do this, bro. And I go, why? He goes, because you'll shit blood for a week. And I go, no, I won't. And he goes, yeah, you will. And I did. I mean, it hurt so bad. That was good. What do you think? And I'm asking you this because I'm going somewhere with this, but just bear with me for a minute. Did you know before you started your MMA career, did you know coming out of your collegiate wrestling career, or did you know even back in your pee-wee days of wrestling, in your high school wrestling days, did you know that you had those hands? Could you always throw a punch like that? Because everything that I've heard from Dan Henderson to Uriah Faber to other fighters and trainers is that for your size and the weight divisions that you fought in, that was not normal. Your hand speed, the speed could have been normal, but the power of your jabs and your crosses and your overhands were on a different level. Did you always have those hands?
I mean, I didn't know that until, I don't know if I can say this on air or not, but I got in a lot of fights in college and I knocked a lot of guys out with one punch. And before that, growing up as a kid, as a wrestler, like getting in fights, it was always with kids that were bigger than me trying to pick on me. And so I would just, take them down and beat the crap out of them or choke them. But college is where I kind of figured out that I had the knockout power. Other than just going out there and throwing haymakers and putting someone to sleep, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But
why would you fight in college? You're not very tall, but you're tougher and shit, and you're on the college wrestling team. Are you getting picked on by football players or big bouncers in bars because of your size? And then you had to just be like, look, bro, chill.
Yeah, I think it was a size. A lot of the times it was a size thing. There were multiple times I had different frat guys, obviously getting the frat attitude and, because I'm a small guy. In college, I probably walked around 140, 145.
Which is little. That's little, dude.
Yeah. And so guys would be like, multiple times I heard this, what the are you going to do? That was the last thing that they heard. So, I was... I'm not always trying to go out and pick a fight. There might have been a few times where I had too much to drink and I probably wasn't the nicest dude ever, but most of the time I was just trying to have fun with my buddies and people would be doing stupid stuff. But
tell me this real quick. You heard me refer to this Conor fight, which you got you laid him out and you got him down and you dropped ferocious ground and pound and elbows on him. You were on a boat drinking a beer when you got the call from Dana White or the matchmaker in the UFC at that time. Very short training camp. Was it in Brazil?
No, it was Vegas.
It was in Vegas.
Yeah.
you come out and you get winded after the first round. Your defense wasn't there in the second round. He ends up getting you. Conor's a tough son of a bitch. Conor's got great hands. Conor is a great mixed martial artist. He is at the top of his game right now. That last fight against Cowboy, I don't know if you can really judge that. I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But you whipped his ass to the point of your wrestling was superb. Your hands were superb. Could you, if with a full training camp, is that fight a totally different story?
100%. I mean, you saw what Khabib did to him. I mean, anybody that's strong, that has wrestling ability is going to beat that guy. You know, the shitty thing is, like, so I took that fight on 10 days notice, got the call. I was out salmon fishing. I had a Corona in hand actually when I got the call. And obviously I'm not in shape, not ready to go, but I'm not going to turn this fight down. And so Conor's a big guy. We have a guy, Mike Malott, on our team who's really tall, can fight southpaw. And basically I go from no training at all, you know, out fishing, doing my Finz and Featherz stuff, to straight into sparring, hard sparring with a guy that's way bigger. So my first sparring session, I go from no training at all, you know, on a boat, doing my Finz and Featherz stuff, fishing, to right into sparring a guy that's a lot bigger than me and a southpaw. So my first sparring session, I throw a leg kick. He checks it. Well, southpaw, I'm now kicking a knee and break the top of my foot. So the first, I don't know, it was probably 5 days of that 10-day camp. I couldn't even walk. Like, if you watch all the videos leading up to it that the UFC filmed, like a day in the life and all that stuff, I was doing all swimming workouts. And that's because I couldn't stand on my foot. So I got to cut 22 pounds in 10 days. I can't run. I can't grapple. I can't spar. I can't do anything. I'm basically trying to swim my workouts, try to get as much shape as I can. And finally, after it was like 4 or 5 days, I could finally start standing and carrying my weight on my foot. And I'm basically just taking ibuprofen and just toughing it out to try to get any type of training in that I could. Felt like crap cutting that much weight that fast. But went out there and did it. You know, that's a fight that you just can't turn down. There's a chance that I go out there and one overhand right and I put him to sleep, you know. And I knew with Conor, watching Conor fight, I'd be able to hit him with those rights, getting in on the inside, closing the distance and hitting him. And I did a bunch in that fight. The guy has a freaking chin though. I mean, he's really big, you know, and so he's a 55er or bigger. How the hell the guy made 45s and could compete, you know, multiple rounds at that high of a pace and level was beyond me. But man, I hit the guy hard, took him down, out wrestled him. You know, looking back on the fight now, like, he was about to break. I think if I could have held out for maybe one more round, he probably would have broke. But I just didn't have the gas tank, man. I just didn't have it in me. So,
well, that's natural. I mean, you know, it's one thing you're in great shape right now. You look at you're in shape, but you're not in fighting shape right now. A fighting camp is a completely different level of shape. I could go and pick up a baseball bat right now and go out and have an at bat, but to take a full week of BP, my arms would feel like they're falling. There's a difference in baseball shape. It's all relative. So that you going in, I had no idea that the other part of this puzzle was a broken foot. No, I don't remember ever hearing that in the commentary or anything. So I don't know if you kept it a secret or whatever, but I don't know. This last fight, he looked gigantic. His quads looked gigantic. What he did to Cerrone, I don't know if Cowboy really, you know, talking to Hendo, and you're good friends with Hendo, he says Cowboy really didn't even show up to fight. I felt the same with his interviews going into it, even the day of the weigh-in. He was like just happy to be here kind of attitude, where you go in there on a 10-day deal, and that outcome of that fight would have changed. Historically, that would have changed in your career. It would have changed the entire route. It would have changed the entire route of the UFC, because Conor would have been broken probably, like Diaz ended up doing him a little bit. But then Diaz, the thing that hurt that part of the Diaz Conor deal, in my opinion, was that Diaz was so much bigger, right? So they're saying, well, you come down here. No, you come up here. Let's meet in the middle kind of deal. But what you did to him, it was so quick, and it was so evident, is maybe not quick's the word, but evident. And I just think that would have changed the whole course of and what you did is you went in there and you got out with your brains and you said, you know what, I'm done. I'm walking away from fighting. And it pisses me off to this day that somebody like you with your talent did that, because the fans deserve to see more of your fights because they were so awesome. But I can't help but respect, or, I have no choice but to respect your decision, right? But if that fight goes different and you have a whole training camp and you're the man, I just don't see a lot of guys that size beating you with the hands, and which is the universal badassery component that you have to have of wrestling. You're a world-class wrestler with freaking boxing style hands with knockout power. You can't be better. I mean, jiu-jitsu maybe, but guys that get you on the ground are probably not going to tie you up jiu-jitsu wise because of your strength and your wrestling background. They're not going to get you in a position to choke you out or armbar you. That might be a little bit premature to say, because I'm sure there are some badass technicians. I just see it like, man, that would have changed the entire route of your retirement, your existence, and your stance in mixed martial arts. It would have been a completely different ballgame.
Oh, I agree, man. I think about that all the time. Like, and in all honesty, I think that was probably a key strategy for the UFC, for Dana and Lorenzo at that time. They knew the only way Conor was going to beat me, which was right there. I was right at the top. I think I was ranked number 1 and 2.
Oh shit! Don't even say this. I already know what you're saying right now. Are you serious right now with what you're about to say? They knew that if they got you on a shortened fight camp, that's the only way that Conor can beat you. Holy shit, I never even thought about that.
Yeah. And what's crazy is, I think it was like a few weeks before that, we re-signed my contract. And I'm negotiating a certain price. And they're like, sorry, we can't do that. Can't do that. Dana and Lorenzo get up. And they walk away and they start powwowing together, and they come back and sit down and they say, okay, how about this? They throw a price down, which was pretty close to what I wanted. And if you fight Conor McGregor for a title fight, we'll give you X amount of money.
Oh shit.
Like out of nowhere.
So this wasn't a title fight.
Well, it was, yeah. They made it an interim title fight. But it's like, why all of a sudden would you guys throw that in there unless this is already something that's pre-planned?
Yeah, why would they say that in that meeting?
I don't know. Because it was a number that they knew I would never turn down. And so me and my managers are looking at each other like, well, where's this coming from? But okay, yeah, shit, let's sign it. That sounds good, But and then the way that everything played out, looking back on it now, like, why would they just come out of that out of nowhere, come up with that?
Why
and then all of a sudden, 10 days before, hey, Mendes, we need you. All those out,
So was there a chip on your shoulder after that meeting, or at least after that fight, that you already kind of knew? Was your stance with the management and the ownership already at a level to where you felt slighted and you weren't really high on what was going on? Or were you still a company guy?
No, I mean, I haven't been a company guy before that for a while. I think I stopped being a company guy when I wasn't Dana's type of fighter. Like, the way that I fought was boring to him. And when he's going in interviews after my fight saying I'm a boring fighter and stuff, it's like, screw you, dude. Like, I'm one of your fighters. It doesn't matter if any of your fighters are doing anything that's boring. Like, your job as a promoter should be building these guys up, because there's so many fans that just follow and think whatever Dana says. So if Dana says this guy's, even though they might think, oh, this guy's a boring fighter, but Dana, oh, well, it's technical, I like the way he fights, blah, blah, blah. Then those people would be like, oh, you're right. Actually, that is kind of cool. Yeah, I actually like that guy,
Right.
So why?
But you weren't Ronda Rousey. You weren't Conor McGregor. No, you weren't going to be the standout.
Because in the beginning I was wrestling, I would take guys down, ground and pound, grind them out. And I'd win. I'd win every single time. And he hated that, because it wasn't a go out there and try to kill myself for him type fighter,
That's crazy, because back in the day, all Matt Hughes and GSP did was take people down. GSP was I'm not going to say he was boring, but Floyd Mayweather Jr. has been coined, like, people don't like watching him fight because there's never a knockout. He's so he's the best defensive boxer of all time. Dana White loves him. Like, he's always about Mayweather, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what he means by that kind of shit.
Well, that's because he's a big draw. He's a big moneymaker. And obviously not for Dana, but that's the difference. I was coming up in the sport. You know, I didn't really have a big name yet. It's not like I was moving the needle a ton. And I was beating everybody. You know, everyone they put me in there with, I was beating. But I wasn't going out there and like submitting someone in the first round or knocking them out in the first round. I was making it hell for them, grinding them out, putting them through hell, you know? And it wasn't a big draw. Like, so I don't know. It just, when all that was happening is when I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm in this for me. I don't give a shit about the UFC. I'm basically going to go in there, try to make as much money as I can and get the hell out. And that's what I did.
And are there any regrets getting out at all yet? Nothing?
No regrets at all, man. Like, think about this. So I started wrestling when I was 5 years old. I wrestled every single year through college, all the way up through college, after college, the day after college, threw all my shit in that U-Haul, moved up to Sac, and immediately jumped right into pro fighting, trained for 3 months, had my first pro fight, and didn't look back. Never took a year off from 5 years old till I retired, other than that stupid ban. But even then I was still training every day, you know? But so I think I was competing, 29 years I was doing something competition-wise, training, competing. That was my life for 29 years. Think about someone that has a job for 29 years. Most people fucking retire after that, right? Like, that's a long putting your heart and soul into something. So for me, I'm to that point, you know. I feel content. Let's put it that way. Like, I've proven so much to myself over that 29-year period. I've gone in there, I've tested my heart, I've tested my soul, and, you know, I might not have reached every single goal that I ever set, but I reached a shit ton of my goals throughout my career, you know. In high school, I used to have a goal list that I would open my closet and see on the closet door every single day. Like, I had a list, both long-term through the year and daily. And I'd go in there and I'd mark my dailies off, scratch them off, that was met, scratch them off, that was met. And then yearly, you know, win Pac-10 or, you know, whatever it would be. Obviously that's college, but high school, whatever, win regionals, whatever, scratch that off. I reached a ton of that stuff, you know. Moving into college, same thing. You know, I was a multi-time Pac-10 champ. Like, that was always a big goal, just to become a Pac-10 champ for me, you know, become an All-American that first year as an All-American. Then to become a national champ, obviously came very close, but ended up, you know, just a match short. But dude, I don't know. And then coming over into the fight game, there were so many things that I achieved. I just feel content, man. There's definitely no regrets.
If there's no regrets, is there anything that could get you back money-wise? Would a huge money payoff that said, we want you got 5 months training camp, and this is the fight, and you're fighting McGregor, big money payoff, the return of Money Mendes, a 1-fight contract, nothing else. They can't say, well, you got to do 3 more after that. Would you get in shape for 1 more fight for a payday?
I probably would. And it's not because I don't. It's not because I need the money, but I think out of any fight that I could get back, it would be that one on a full camp. I mean, the payday would be nice if it's big enough. More importantly, just getting in there and proving to myself and proving to everybody else, especially all the little Conor fans that just always have something stupid to say, that, dude, I can beat Conor McGregor. Like, the guy's good. The guy's good at what he does. But it's 2 different levels, man. Like, me in shape, you guys saw when I would take that guy down, that, like, if I would have fought that guy even 3 or 4 years before that, that would have been an easy fight for me, man. Like, taking a guy down and a guy that gives up on his back, those were the easiest grind out fights ever. Like, the hardest part is, don't get hit on the feet, which, you know, not that hard because I can blast it and take him down. The guy's wrestling was garbage. And off his back, he doesn't have submissions. It's not like he's going to throw up a triangle or something. So basically, he would just sit there and hold on. So elbow, catch my breath, punch. You know what I mean? And the round's over. Then I'm going to go back out and do the exact same thing the next round. Like, that was an easy fight. I fought a lot of guys that they were knockout artists on the feet, great jits guys. But as soon as I got them down and they're comfortable being on their back, they just don't want to get up. It's an easy fight. Grind them out.
I agree. I agree. That's why I asked the question, because I would pay big money to watch it. I'd be there live. I'd be there and watch it. But I would do anything to see Money Mendes McGregor with a full training camp. And it's easy to say, oh, you guys are just hypothetically, maybe we are, but that is a big payday just based on pure talent. That is what pisses me off about your career, or the way that you went out more than anything, is because you're in your prime, you're 30 years old, and you're freaking a badass that can to beat anybody in the weight division and probably one below that and maybe one up, and you're done. And it's mainly not because you're hurt, not because you're scared to get hurt. It's because of you're ready to get on with your career, make money, because there's just nothing left there for you. The passion's gone, which the passion shouldn't have been sucked out of you. And it would have all changed with a little bit more of a training camp, in my opinion. I just always think that every time I see your text come up, I'm always thinking like, fuck, what if, man? What if that would have been, because I watched that first round and I'm like, dude, this is over. This is over now. It's done. It's done right now. It's just like shit. But I don't know. Thinking of college wrestling though, how bummed out would you be if you were a college senior this year going into the NCAAs and have what just happened? What is the mentality of a wrestler at your caliber, Chad Mendes, of winning the Pac-10s, going into the NCAAs? Your obviously focus is number one. Nothing else matters. And when it's taken away from these kids, like let's take the Hodge Trophy winner this year, right? Spencer Lee from Iowa. He's going in for another national championship. He just gets awarded the college wrestler of the year, and it gets taken away. The Olympics get taken away. Snyder and Burroughs and all of these guys are like, and Dake, and all of them are like, I don't know if you follow college wrestling anymore. I don't know if I'm throwing around names that you might not have heard of. But how do you feel if you're these guys?
Man, I mean, that sucks. My college coach, that happened to him. Like he got, he made the Olympic team, and that was the year that they boycotted it. So he didn't get to go, and I remember him still, like to this day, I remember through college talking to him about it and just felt like there was just so much left inside of him that he wanted to compete, and he just couldn't, like he wanted to compete in the Olympics. That was like a lifelong goal. He made the team and then just couldn't go. So, I mean, I can't even imagine, it sucks, but it's out of everybody's hands, and it's just one of those things. I don't know what would be worse, like basically having something like me, like what happened with me, like where you're like super close, a few points away from being a national champ and just coming up short, or not even being able to compete. It's like the what if, I don't know, but both suck.
That would suck.
Yeah.
Are you at this stage in your life and we're going to get into your businesses, but in our business that we're getting ready to kick off, and in what you're doing content wise and in the hunting and fishing and outdoor industry, are you a fight fan still, even though that you have a bad taste in your mouth over how it went down? Are you still a connoisseur of a good fight to where you'll get a pay-per-view? Or I remember our conversation about Uriah's comeback. He goes in there, whips that dude's ass you were worried about. He came back in his second fight and things didn't go his way. Is he done now? Or are you still a connoisseur of of what's going on? Are you still in the know of what's going on in MMA?
Yeah, I mean, I've backed off a bit, but I still pay attention. Like big fights, like I'll go and watch somewhere. I don't have TV, so I don't get the pay-per-views at my house. But if somebody's, if there's a big fight or a teammate that's fighting, we go over to a buddy's house or something and watch it. But yeah, I pay attention, but I have backed off a bit. I just got so many other things going on. Being a dad now too, throwing that in there, and it's tough. Like even the wrestling world, like after that, jumping into the fight world, I backed off a bit. But I mean, I'm still interested in both. I've been an athlete my whole life, so the wrestling, the fighting, all that still interests me. But yeah, man, I don't know about Faber either. I haven't talked to him about that much lately. I haven't heard anything from him about him wanting to come back. But I don't know, man. Hopefully he feels content like I do and is just ready to move on. It's a brutal sport, dude.
Oh God.
And it's a very brutal sport. It's not like, coming back for football. I mean, I guess football is pretty damn brutal too, but another sport where you're,
You're
You know, you
getting
can come
punched in the
back.
face. You're getting paid to be
Yeah,
punched in the
exactly.
face.
Like, yeah, like you could be killed basically, you know, if things don't go right.
You don't
So
have any TV at all? Like you don't watch Netflix at all?
yeah, we have Netflix. I
Okay.
just have
Have you
that type of
watched
stuff.
Have you watched the new Ronda Rousey documentary through her dad's eyes on there? It's not. It might
Mm-mm.
not be new, but they just got to Netflix.
No, what's it called?
It's called the Ronda Rousey story through her dad's eyes. And you know her dad passed away early in her life, but this producer gets a hold of her story and it follows her from judo through her amateur MMA days to Strike Force to UFC, but it's really behind the scenes in the gym. And one of the things her mom says, her mom was a world champion judo. Is it jiu-jitsu? What do you say? Judo? What
No, judo.
is it? A judo technician?
Yeah.
Okay, so her mom was a world champion judo technician, and her mom says we didn't think she would do it because nobody wants to get paid to be punched in the face. And then when she started her MMA career, they're like, we're not going to let her do this for very much longer. She's going to get in there and whip everybody's ass, and then she's going to get out because nobody wants to make a living being punched in the face. And then, so what the way that I always looked at Ronda was, okay, Dana always said no women in the UFC. It's not going to happen. He said that on ESPN. He was saying that coming out of a restaurant on TMZ. Ronda comes up, he comes in, she becomes his girl, right? They're promoting her. Well, I always looked at it like, well, dude, anybody's going to become credible if Dana, like what you said, if Dana says something, it becomes the gospel, right? So I always was like, dude, there's way badder ass women out there, and they proved to be. Holly Holm knocked her out, and then the girl from Brazil that's the champion now did it. But here's the thing that I learned in this documentary is that the fight game is so precise. The fight game is so driven by. What is the word I want to look for? Not it's kind of the legacy of a fighter is important, right? So when you look at Ronda Rousey's career from the outside, you're just like, yeah, she came in, she got real famous, and then she sold out and went to the WWE. I have been educated on this, dude. You don't want to stay in there and keep getting your ass kicked. She opened the door. Her and Gina Carano opened the door for so many women fighters to come in and make a living in this. And on top of that, when you go behind the scenes with her, as if we went behind the scenes at a Money Mendes camp or a Faber or Hendo camp, dude, she is a badass, man. Her hands and her skills of judo and then her boxing, as good as she got on her hands and with her hands. I mean, I think her first 9 wins were first round by armbar or something like that, amateur and professional. But then it shows her boxing, and it shows on top of all of that, her work ethic of what her coaches, they loved her. She was like their pride and joy, like their little girl who she didn't have a dad. So I really gained like this new respect that people deserve to know that about somebody like you or Uriah and what it really means, because as a fan, you can become very blinded or very selfish and greedy. Like, oh dude, you're a sellout, man. You went to the WWE, you're in that fake shit. No, what she's doing is she's good enough athlete to be over there for Vince McMahon. She's a good enough draw. And she doesn't want to get hurt anymore. Even though she'll sprain an ankle or break an arm over there, she's not going to get the shit beat out of her like a UFC fighter will. So it puts it all into perspective for me of like what you did. The selfish part of me wants you to come back and fight him and show the world, like, here's the true lightweight champ. Like, here's the guy that's a lighter fighter that's the best in the world, because I truly think that you are. And it just the selfish side of me is like, dude, Dana, get him in there and put that fight together. Put the fight together. You got a big enough following, dude, to have a great fan base still. It's not over until, I'm not saying like until the fat lady sings, you've already walked away and said you're retired, but I just wish that fight would go down with a full camp. But we can get off of that. I just think that part of you wakes up in the morning. Sometimes I assume that you roll over to your wife and you go, Abby, I'm getting it. I'm doing it. I'm getting a fight. I'm fighting one more time. But because most fighters, Chad, historically have not been able, from Carwin to Hendo to Couture, Uriah, you're one of your best friends in the game. I think you even said he's your best friend in fighting, that he was your mentor and he was your coach and he was the guy that kind of discovered you, right? Yeah. I mean, even he couldn't stay away from it.
I think that's the type of guys, and I know some of those other guys hunt, but so I have a very strong passion, and I've had this passion that coincided with being an athlete my whole life. So wrestling, hunting and fishing, fighting, hunting and fishing. So for me, being able to make a great living doing the outdoor stuff, working as an influencer for a lot of these outdoor companies, starting Finz and Feathers, being able to travel all over the place and hunt with guys and girls that have never hunted before and can look up to me in that aspect to where I'm like an instructor, I guess would kind of be the same thing as me teaching fighting technique and stuff like that. That has kind of filled up that void of the fighting. You know what I mean? Like filled that passion. So for me, being able to do all that stuff and stay active doing all the outdoor stuff, I think has really like taken place of that. I haven't woke up one time yet and thought, man, I'm getting back in there.
Dude,
and
I know Chad Mendes, I know exactly what you're saying. And you tell me if this is another way of saying it. I honestly went through periods in my life to where I felt incomplete. Like you said, you attained your goals. I was a goal-orientated dude, man. I had a major chest surgery in 1992. They took 49 inches of ribs out of my body. They cut me across my chest, right below my tits. I say it all the time. Like I have man tits kind of. I talk to my trainer on this podcast about it, and I'm very transparent because when you look at me, nobody knows that I have a scar underneath my nipples that goes all the way across my chest. Okay, so they take 49 inches of my ribs out. They take my xiphoid process out. They break my sternum in half and put it all back together, and they wire me all back up. Okay. So I went into my college athletic career of like broken. Like this was right going into my senior year of baseball in high school. And I still had goals to make it. Right. So when I didn't make the majors or minor league ball or become a professional athlete, I felt incomplete. But now, because of my passion for ducks and getting this, I always tell somebody this. I always try to tell them that, dude, this is the most complete, rewarding life you can live. And here's why. Not only do you get to be around great people, not only do you get to see Mother Nature at her finest, not only do you get to visit the best places on earth, the flooded timber of Arkansas or the mountains of Montana or Utah where you killed your awesome sheep, mule deer hunting, whatever it is, fishing on the Sacramento River. There's nothing prettier. So what I tell people is, yes, the passion for this lifestyle and the humility of this, being so humbled by this lifestyle, dude, I am a freaking world-class athlete. I get to hang with Chad Money Mendes, who has been a champion in the octagon and an NCAA, and Uriah Faber. You know why? Because of the common denominator of this lifestyle of living off the land and what you promote. Killing and eating your bounty. And we do not say sorry or make apologies or excuses for that. So when people say, man, don't you wish you would have been a professional athlete? Yeah, it would have been cool. But look at this. I get to hang with George Brett, who was my idol growing up in baseball. I got a good friend in Chad Mendes, who was a stud to watch. And this life is that fulfilling. Because of a mallard duck, these doors have opened up of being able to be around all of these badass athletes. And then country singers. Me and you've been backstage at Zach Brown, and it was so funny to see Zach Brown, who sells out Fenway Park 3 nights in a row, 45,000 people a night. He's standing there talking to people. And as soon as Money Mendes, I'm painting this picture for the listeners, as soon as you and Abby walk up, he stops everything he's doing and walks over to you and goes, dude, big fan, shakes your hand. You didn't even say, cool. You didn't even have to go, Zach, big fan, I love your music, which I know you do. But he's like, big fan. So even that lifestyle, being a musician, they look up to athletes. You look up to musicians. I have this ability to go, dude, I never made it to the majors, but I'm in George Brett's backyard cooking with him. And I'm in Money Mendes. I'm podcasting and fishing and hunting with Money Mendes and Uriah and Hendo. Next week, Chuck Liddell's coming on the podcast. Randy Couture's coming on the podcast. I'm like, dude, the Iceman in 2005, I'd do anything to get a pay-per-view with the Iceman on. And now because of hunting, I get to talk with Chuck Liddell. I get to talk with Chad Mendes. I mean, I think that's what you're saying, is that this lifestyle of being an American hunter is freaking different. I'm telling you, it's different. It's more fulfilling than any other thing that there can be.
No, you said it, man. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. And I just, like, so many people ask me exactly what you said. Like, do you just ever wake up just feeling like, God, I got to get in there one more time? And I don't know, maybe that will happen eventually, but I mean, I have not felt that. I do miss some things. And I just told Abby, I do miss being in like peak shape. I do miss like the point of like stepping away after a full training camp and just being like, holy shit, I'm in good shape right now. I feel good. getting there sucks. Like every day, 3 times a day, whatever it is, killing yourself, waking up in the morning, just sore from head to toe, and having to go into a cold ass gym and rolling around with a bunch of dudes while it's freezing on the mats. And like, I don't miss that shit, but the tip top shape, like having goals, setting those as far as like an athlete and training goes. I do miss that stuff, but that's all transitioned into what I'm doing now. And I've taken a lot of the things I've learned over the years of, from training for a sport, trying to be the best that I can be in my division or whatever it is that I'm doing. And I've translated that into the outdoor world, trying to grow Finz and Featherz, creating the content, traveling all over, trying to do, really cool hunting and fishing trips, and being able to help market these brands and be a part of their team, from day one. So for me, I absolutely love this, man. I feel like I'm retired from the fight game, but I'm just like living my dream, man. It really is something I've really hoped and tried to get there my entire life. And now I'm finally here. I have a beautiful family. I have a beautiful home. I'm working, like I said, with a bunch of cool companies, have some cool buddies like you doing all these podcasts and stuff like that. It's awesome, man. I wouldn't trade this for anything.
Speaking of buddies doing podcasts, and I appreciate you talking about ours and you coming on to ours. Obviously, I love having you as a guest. You recently just went up to Montana and got to be a guest on Steven Rinella's Meat Eater podcast. Is he a real person? Is it a mystique, or is it like a fake character, this Steven Rinella Meat Eater guy? Because it's almost like I've never seen him in public. Like he's in Reno at the Safari Club and I'm there and I'm like, I don't see Steven. Or I'm at SHOT Show and Steven's there and I don't run into Steven, but I run into everybody else. And and then you hear, the Meat Eater, and it's on Netflix, but is it really real? Like I have this weird mystique about Steven Rinella. Like I've pretty much have met everybody in the outdoor industry and I've never seen him in real life. So one, was he there, and was he there a real person there sitting in the chair, or is it like a mannequin that they just run this voice box for? What kind of guy is he? What kind of experience was it? I know that when they promoted it on the Meat Eater Instagram, they said the 3 Chads in the, I don't know if you saw that in the caption, but I assume that was about our cookbook with you and I and Ward that we'll talk about in a minute. But what kind of experience was that? Is he a cool dude? Would you do it again?
Yeah, man, I had a lot of fun. So it was Bozeman, which I'd never been there. Super cool little town. Like would be fun to take the wife and just go hang out for like a weekend or something. Pretty hipster, but there's like tons of restaurants. And I walked across the street. I got there that night and checked in my hotel, walked across the street, and there was a restaurant that had all kinds of bison stuff. And this was right before I did that bison hunt. So I was like, man, I got to try all this stuff. So super cool restaurant. Next day went in there and it was Cal, Steven, and Giannis. And we sat down and had a freaking awesome podcast, man. I from what I know from doing the podcast, obviously I've never hung out with any of those guys outside of that, but everybody seems super cool. Definitely would love to get on a hunt with those guys. We talked about maybe, them coming out here and going up to our pig ranch and we just doing like a wild boar hunt or something. But, man, it was definitely Steven Rinella. It wasn't a mannequin, and he seemed like a cool dude.
Dude, they got it going on, man.
Yeah.
Like that's one guy, when people look at our what we have going on, they're like, man, you guys got it going on. And then I look at Steven and I'm like, man, you got it going on, dude. From being so well written and well read and well versed and clean cut and messaging the right way and authors and books and then the Rogan podcast and his appearances on there that absolutely helped blow him up. And then getting his company purchased or whatever just happened, with the owners of Barstool Sports. I know a little bit about it, but their social media, their following, their live appearances, their podcasts, their brands. I mean, you think about it, they're doing it. They're just freaking doing it. And the thing about it is that none of it's like really out of like, so like, animated, or you see like a graphic and you see all the design that a lot of people put in their stuff. It's just a picture of Steve Ranello with a chainsaw with a shitty boat in there, and people go nuts for it. Like, this is my boat and this is what I fish out. And I'm like, yeah, right, dude. You probably got like a 2020 Ranger with dual 90s on it. And no, but really, that's what kind of guys they are. They just like being in the back 40 and doing their own thing, and they're doing it. So kudos to them. They just, to get the accolades that he's gotten from Rogan on that level, the dude is doing some shit right.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love their show. I mean, before I even, stepped into the outdoor industry, still wrestling, fighting, like the Meat Eater show was something I loved watching, like it, and I still love watching it. It's kind of a show that I look up to. It's something that I want to represent in this industry, and there's a lot of people, I think, doing the influencer stuff for the wrong reasons. And I don't ever want to be categorized into that type of, class. Like, I love to hunt. I love cooking the wild game that I harvest. For me, being someone that's cut weight since I was a kid, I have some weird connection with food. Like, prime example. And I talked about this before, like the week of a fight, like when I'm the most sucked up, starved, like cutting weight, I got the last, 5 pounds of the 20 pounds I have to cut. And I'm in my hotel between doing media stuff, and I'm just watching the Food Channel and like watching them prepare all these really good, delicious looking meals. And I'm just like taking notes, like, oh, I'm making that whenever I can eat again, And my wife's like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, why the hell are you doing this to yourself? But I don't know, man. I don't know if it's my dad cooked as a kid, growing up. My dad was the guy, was in the kitchen. He was cooking everything for us. And I used to love watching him make stuff. And like, I learned so much from watching my dad in the kitchen, and then, watching the Meat Eater show and like seeing the different things that they do with all the wild game stuff. I have a few buddies in the industry that are amazing wild game cooks, picking their brains and like seeing the stuff that they make. And, it's just something it's like a huge passion of mine. So being able to mix the two, like cooking and hunting, I love getting out, chasing the wild game, being in nature, being in the outdoors. So that's a prime, just like a primal intense feeling that you can have. And then now once you harvest that animal, I can make some amazing ass food, and I can share that with my family. I can share that with my friends, bring people together.
You're a provider, dude. You're a provider.
Yeah, I freaking love it, dude. That's like, I live for that. I absolutely love it. So
on that level, you have Netflix. Have you ran across the show? And I said this on my last podcast, because I've been talking about being a provider all day on some shows, and I don't care if people get tired of me, because Jon Favreau, have you seen his show on Netflix yet called The Chef Show? Oh, dude. Remember Jon Favreau was Swingers. He was in the movie The Breakup with Vince Vaughn. He's Vince Vaughn's best friend. Yeah. He was in the movie Made, and then he directed Iron Man. He directed Iron Man. That's what. But anyway, I don't even know how much money he's made in Hollywood. But
a ton.
Like, I don't know how many years ago, 5 to 10 years ago, he made a movie called The Chef. And he's a high-end chef at a real ritzy restaurant, and the owner treats him like shit and talks down to him. So he quits, gets down on his luck, moves to Miami, meets a girl from Cuba, buys a food truck, and they start serving Cubana sandwiches, right? Finds his love and passion in this little tiny food truck in the ghettos and the boroughs of Miami. He's just killing it, making these sandwiches, and he just falls in love with food again, like what you're talking about. So I've been doing this intermittent fasting thing for the last 5 to 6 months, where I don't eat 1 calorie after 8 p.m. and then I wake up and I can't eat 1 calorie or drink 1 calorie before noon. So I've been like destroying myself at night because I'm watching this chef show, starving my ass off. And this is where I'm going with you, because you're cutting weight and you can't eat, but you're putting yourself through hell watching these shows. So, dude, you gotta watch the chef show. And he cooks with this Korean chef named Choi that owns like 3 or 4 really successful restaurants, Mendes, and they kill it for inspiration on recipes, man. I'm like, dude, nice. I'm doing that with a duck. I'm doing that stroganoff with some moose. I'm doing this with the deer. But they're not doing a lot of wild game. They do a lot of fish. They do oysters. They go shuck oysters up in Oregon. But anyway, I know exactly what you're meaning, dude. It's like that whole lifestyle of full circle sustainability of what Ranella does with Meat Eater and what we try to do, and showing like, dude, the number one thing that you hear about people in my world in duck hunting is like, oh, you can't eat those. They suck. And I'm like, what? Dude, I'll take a speckled belly duck or a speckled belly goose or a mallard duck, and I will You'll think you're eating filet mignon. I promise you.
Yeah.
And it always gets a bad rap because people overcook it. They liverize it. They turn it into something it's not supposed to be. So I'm not on a mission or a soapbox when we're trying to show people recipes. I'm simply showing them that, look, I grew up as a gatherer. My dad had me in the mountains. I could tell you stories when I was 13 months old, catching fish with my mom and dad, and going on deer hunting trips and being in a carrier on his back. So I grew up doing it. We grew up in the mountains. We grew up eating wild game all the time. And so I'll be damned if somebody's going to come to me online or a hater like you get all the time and go, you killer. And then you got to sit there and go, well, should I yell at him? Should I educate him? Should I tell him to shut up? Whatever, right? My point is that if people get enthralled in that lifestyle of what you're explaining, dude, your fight career becomes secondary because every day you wake up, you're absolutely living it, man. You are taking something and turning it into something for somebody else. It's like being a farmer. It comes full circle. They feed us, they feed the animals, they feed their family. And then the next thing you know, that deer gets killed on the land and then you're eating that deer. It's an amazing story. And level of life that Ranella and now Rogan's in on it, which you need to be on that podcast. I don't know why Joe has. I talked to Hendo about that too. I'm like, dude, you gotta go on Rogan too. But now Rogan's in on it, saying I eat elk, I shoot elk, which we're gonna get into this archery deal in a second because I do have to rip your ass publicly over our texting conversation last week. But you know what I mean? It's just the coolest lifestyle there is, dude. And Ranella does it in a really different way. A really different way that it's for a lot of people because it's reachable, it's attainable.
It's informative, which I think is key. There's a lot of people that in our industry that are, they have a big presence in the industry, but and I think a lot of people are getting better at it, but there was a lot of people that didn't inform. It was kill, smile, take a photo, that's it. And it's like, okay, well, what are you doing with that? In the beginning, when I first started like posting anything hunting, like it was mind blowing how many people would say, I sure hope you didn't just take a picture of that and leave it. It's like, like obviously you just don't know the lifestyle. You don't understand anything about hunting. Like I don't just go out and shoot a deer, pose with it and then walk off. Like A, that's illegal. And B, that's not why I'm doing this. Like the point is to fill my freezer with amazing meat. So I don't have to go to the store and stand in line and buy it. Like I can just go out in my freezer and grab whatever the hell I want, And so I think there's a lot of people that just, they weren't really informing the process. They just didn't understand hunting. And I think guys like Rogan, guys like Cam Hanes, I feel like I'm trying to do that as much as I can. Ranella, like all these guys, it's getting a lot better at, informing the people that don't know. There's a ton of people that are so disconnected from their food, like the lifestyle that people live nowadays. A lot of people, hunting is not the norm anymore. Like we've gotten to where we are because of hunting, and it's weird now if you're a hunter. Like for you to kill something is strange.
I agree. But now look at it. In today's society right now, I'm talking currently in our country, how many messages have you seen or read or received? Thank God I'm a hunter, man, and my freezer's full. And then I can give some to my neighbor. I'm sharing with people. I'm making more than I need and delivering it to my mom and dad. I talked to Chad Ward yesterday. He's like, dude, I got these axis deer, whatever. And he goes, I'm cooking for my mom and dad and bringing it down to them. And what a better feeling. Now these people are going to come back and go, hey man, I know that last week I said that you shouldn't kill stuff, but you think I could get some of that elk meat? There's not a cooler, think about it. Right now is a prime example of why Rogan and why Cam Hanes and why Ranella and why the good voices of this industry that promote the lifestyle in the right light, like the T-Bones and the Nick Munts and the Waddells, and Nugent's got a different way of doing it and Shocky's got a different way of doing it. But dude, they all love, on my podcast with Shocky, he says, I will be damned if you could tell me that the bear roast that I cook you is not a deer. He goes, I promise you'll think it's better. And I'm like, you eat bear? And he's like, you bet your ass I eat bear. Right there tells you like, man, this is sustaining our well-being, dude. This is what we put into our bodies. This is what we do. Today I've eaten wild game 3 times already.
Yeah.
And I'll continue to do it. I eat little small portions of halibut and yellowfin tuna that I got from my buddy in Florida, and deer meat. And my freezer is absolutely jam-packed just from this last season. And that's and I see you doing it all the time, and the message that you can give off and the education that you can give to somebody, that's all it is if you're going to be a hater and you're going to be anti, at least be an educated anti of what living off the land means, because right now you're going to get a good understanding of what having a freezer full of wild game would mean to your family if you were an outdoorsman and a conservation and a hunter-gatherer.
No, I agree. And I think it's important for all of us to do our part. God, it's just so annoying at times to try to inform these people that leave the most ridiculous comments or are completely just irate and just off the rocker. But I think our job is to try to inform. Now I can sit there and maybe I inform someone that's left a bad comment on a post, and if they still don't want to listen or still just start saying stupid stuff, so be it. Now, I'm probably never going to change your mind, but yeah, exactly. At least if you're going to hate, inform yourself before you say something stupid. Like, I sure hope you didn't just kill that animal and take a picture and leave it. Like, it's illegal. You can't do that, or God, I get so many weird things, but
it's almost like what you got to pick your poison. You got to pick your battles.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Do I want to spend my time? I'm all about predator management. But I will be the first one in the world. If somebody says the words to me, F a coyote, if I'm out in society and I hear even a hunter go, F a coyote, I kill everyone I see, they're pieces of shit. I go, no, don't ever disrespect a coyote, because that dude will out hunt you and eat your ass if you ain't freaking careful. You understand? I guess that wasn't the right words to use. That didn't sound good. But a coyote is a badass animal that deserves our respect. We've built in to his land all over LA. The LA mountain ranges were full of coyotes forever. And now you're going to bitch because one gets in Disneyland? No, you built your houses in his home. Of course he's not going to just leave. So there is a such thing as predator management. I got the utmost respect for bobcats and cougars and birds of prey and coyotes and lynxes and everything, right? My brother puts a picture up of his son, my nephew. He's 6 at the time or 7. Gets his first coyote with a 22-250 on film, 87-yard shot, and just smokes this coyote. The comment from the hater: congratulations on raising the next generation of school shooters. And I go, oh my God, like that can't be a human being that wrote that. There's nobody in their right mind that would ever type that out. That had to be generated off of just some weird website, right? But sure enough, man, these people think, like, have you been watching the show about your family, The Tiger King? Have you watched any episodes of that? It's about your family, right?
Yeah, whatever, dude. We've watched a few, and honestly, that shit is so weird. I don't know if I can.
That is what we got to understand, Mendes, is that there's really people like that out there. And they're going to hate on what we do.
People leaving these comments.
Yes. That was that girl. Was that girl that fed her husband to the tigers that killed her husband in that show. That's her leaving those comments. It's got to be. It's got to be.
Carol Baskins?
Yes. I can't believe you remember her name. Dude, that chick is crazier than a shithouse rat, dude. Oh my God, she's crazy. So anyway, going along with this theme, give me in a nutshell what it is you offer with the logo on your hat and my hat. Is that a Finz and Featherz shirt?
Finz and Featherz, it is.
Yeah. Oh wait, you just leaned back. Dude, I don't have this one yet. That's a sick looking shirt.
You know? Yeah, I don't think we're even making these anymore, but we did these last year. We have 2 long sleeves. It's this one, and then one that says hunt, fish, eat, repeat.
I like that. Dude, you need to do that shirt right there with a big mallard or a big speckle belly back flapping.
We don't have any duck stuff or any waterfowl stuff. I
got tons of photos you guys could take it off of.
Nice. So maybe we'll have to do that. I think this year we need to get some waterfowl stuff.
Well, heck yeah. But, I mean, there's duck hunters are the best duck hunters in the world, hands down. Yeah. Wait. Before we go into Finz and Featherz, I want everybody to understand one thing of my stance on something. I am a pretty opinionated person, I guess.
He is, yes.
There are certain animals in this world.
Okay.
And I would say this to Fred Eichler. And I love Fred. I love that dude. He is a legend. I'd say this to Fred Bear. I'd say it to anybody. Michael Waddell, Nick Munt, all of you turkey hunters out there chasing these thunder chickens, right? There are animals, a goose, a duck, and a turkey that are meant to be killed with a shotgun and not a bow and arrow. Now, let me finish. I don't care how good of archer the guy, the guy that used to do all those trick shots on our network, Chris, whatever. He used to try to shoot geese out of the air, and he'd hit a wing, wounded. He'd shoot behind him, wounded, whatever. Turkeys come in. They got little bit of vitals, right? There's a lot of air on a turkey to where you can shoot through feathers. A shotgun is meant to flop a turkey into his grave, not a bow and arrow, and not an arrow going through his head or trying to cut off. Now, I know there's guys out there that are going to argue, but theoretically, down deep in your soul as an archer that shoots at a deer and an antelope and a sheep with those, vitals in a bigger kill zone, down deep in your soul, Chad Mendes, that you should not be hunting turkeys with a bow and arrow, period. Thank you very much for listening to this public service announcement.
You guys, I get text message every time I post a picture of me with a turkey that I killed my bow. I get a message from Chad chewing my ass for like 10 text messages in a row. And here's my thought on it. I mean, yeah, I love archery hunting. I'm not against flopping one with the shotgun, but you have to realize I live in California. Like, finding property to hunt on or lease is like gold because it never comes around. Second, most of the time, those people that actually have the property that barely let you get on it to hunt, you say shotgun and they're like, no guns, I'm anti-gun. Nope, not happening. And so as soon as I say, what if it's archery only? It changes the whole attitude. But trust me, I'm not against flopping them with the shotgun. But what about air gun? Have you ever sniped a turkey with an air gun?
Don't believe it.
Some of these are really high end.
I'm not saying you can't, but those are made for squirrels. I'm just look. You can use every excuse in the book, but Skidmark, those properties he hunts are shotgun too, and he chooses to go out there and goes, "Oh, my hero, my mentor, Chad Money Mendes shoots him with the bow, so I'm gonna go shoot him with the bow." And I'm like, "No, you get a 12 gauge or a 20 gauge with some TSS, and you roll that thing. You roll it."
What about this? What if, as soon as you fire that gun off, those turkeys are onto the neighbor's property and never coming back on that property?
That is the biggest bunch of bullshit, man. You know how many times I've killed a gobbler and the other 9 gobblers and 7 jakes sit there and wrestle with them like it's Andre the Giant on King Kong Bundy? I'm talking to you, dude, they just don't even leave. They don't even leave.
That's true.
They sit there strutting like this and they're like, "Hey, wake up, Charlie. Wake up, dude." I'm telling you,
they beat the crap out of it.
They beat because turkeys they have some pride, dude. They're not like a snow goose. They have pride. When they see somebody go down, it's like you go, "Get up, man. Get up. Quit being a pansy. Get up. Let's go." I'm just telling you. I just text Michael Waddell and I asked him to FaceTime me real quick. That's the busiest dude in the world. Oh, he might have just called me and I was freaking on FaceTime.
Damn it.
Let me see if I can get him. Hold on. I'm going to try it. I want him to settle the argument.
I did kill one of my 3 toms last year with a shotgun.
You should kill them all with a shotgun.
That's Waddell?
I'm trying to get him to FaceTime. I don't know if he's in bad service. He's on a different level of busy though, man. That dude is so sought after.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Have you listened to the podcast here he did with me?
I haven't.
Oh, dude, you got to listen to it. It's so awesome. He didn't. Let's see if he calls me back. We'll see.
I'm so bad at podcasts. Like, everyone's always like, "You got to listen to this one."
Did you listen to the one you did with Meat Eater?
I haven't even listened to it.
Really?
Abby listened to it.
How'd that night go after she heard that? Did you sleep on the couch?
She said I cuss a lot.
She did?
Yeah.
Abby doesn't cuss.
So if you notice, I'm trying not to cuss as much in this podcast.
The quarantine is really, I was thinking of Abby and I love her. And you know why I love her? Because she's such a sweet fun haver. And the reason that she's a fun haver is because like when she has fun, and I don't think like if she went out on a date right now, with you, it was a date night to where you got the in-laws or somebody watch the kids, your mom and dad, her mom and dad. She's a fun haver. The night we were at Zach Brown and she danced, like this girl dances, right? Like that's what I miss. The quarantine makes me miss. It shows us how blessed we are for experiences like that, right?
Oh man, it sucks. I mean, I think there's a lot of good that's going to come out of this.
So
hopefully.
do I. I agree.
What we just talked about, like realize, like opening a lot of people's eyes that don't hunt and that have hated on hunters for their entire lives. Now they're going to hopefully step back and say, holy shit, maybe I should take this up. Maybe I need to figure out how to grow a garden. Maybe I need to learn how to go out and hunt, you know, maybe, hopefully, maybe they're going to back off a little bit. And then also making everybody realize, you know, all the awesome things that they have in their life that we take for granted on the daily, which I am so guilty of that. You know, I get so buried in my work and go in the office and just sometimes stay there all freaking day. And I hear my wife and my baby out there laughing and having fun. And I'm just like, fuck,
yeah,
out there, you know, but I miss all this stuff, hanging out. We're definitely going to some concerts after this. We're going to drink some beers. Hopefully Traeger has a launch party that they can postpone till then. That sucks that this one got canceled, but God, those are so much fun.
Dude, everything. Shit. This lifestyle, I'm telling you, the NWTF, we thankfully got to do it in February. SHOT Show, we got to do so much fun times. NRA's been canceled. So many, you know, ATA, you go to ATA, it would have been canceled. All of those shows would have been canceled. It would have been done. And you think about like everything that we get to do, it's like I literally have to shake myself when I walk by one of my tables in my office or in my house or wherever I'm at, and I look at it and I'm like, really, this is happening right now because of a duck? This is happening right now because of our passion for hunting that I look down, I go, dude, I get to do this today? Like, this is unbelievable. Cool. Yeah, and then when all of that stuff is gone and I look at my March and my April and I just continuously started crossing things off, like Nashville. I was doing a big Little Rock concert with Zach Brown. We were cooking with Traeger. Tyler was coming out. Chad Ward was coming up. A big partner of ours, Bad Boy Mowers, was coming down, and Banded was going to be there. Canceled. Everything. And it's just like, dang it, man. Dang it.
We had to cancel our first 2 Finz and Featherz trips. We had our big Texas helicopter pig hunt. We had 10 guys on that one. And then our Florida gator trip, I think we had 8 guys on that one. So it's definitely crushing us. That was March and April. They're talking about, and what I've heard is it going into June, which our big tuna trip is at the end of June. And we have 30 guys on that. I'm hoping, dude, I'm praying that doesn't get canceled too. Like, that's going to screw us big time. But
yeah, and the question is how much confidence are we going to have coming out of it to go into groups again and be around a bunch of people? It's going to take a while.
I was just talking about that with a buddy the other day on the phone. Like, all we're doing is prolonging. This is my theory on it. We're prolonging this. Like, and I think that was a good thing. Like, the quarantine, it's slowing down the amount of people that are going to rush into the hospital. But hopefully we can come up with the vaccine or something. But say June 1st, they're like, all right, everybody can go back to being normal. There's still going to be people that have it at that point. So everyone gets back into groups with them, and now it's a huge outbreak again. So it's not like it's just going to completely all go away and we're going to come out from under a rock and go, we're safe now.
Yeah,
you know, it's like,
not going to happen.
All we're doing is prolonging it. I don't know. So hopefully we can just come up with the damn vaccine that we can start helping the people that need it. I mean, in all honesty, I feel like I might have had it already. Me, my business partner, and my good buddy.
I remember when you were sick.
Yeah, from the Utah show. Sunday, that night, started getting a cough. Saturday night, started getting a cough. Sunday, woke up, body aches, fever, chills. That lasted like 5 days, off and on.
That was February. That was like February 15th.
Yeah, it was bad, dude. So, I mean, you know how many hands I shake and how many people I freaking put my arm around to take photos, and just sitting at the booth for 9-10 hours a day for 4 days straight. Like, there's a good chance. I mean, I guess it could have been the flu, but
lots of people have told me, dude, coming out of SHOT Show and NWTF, a lot of people got the symptoms, man. Lots of people got sick in that January to mid-February time range when they said, you know, when Trump canceled travel over from China over to here, it was it was a lot of people could have had it. I mean, a lot of people could have.
I think it's been around a little bit longer than we thought. Like, I think there was people that were getting it and we just didn't know about it, or it wasn't in the limelight as much as it was. But I mean, I don't know. I'm ready for all this shit to go back to normal.
I
Hopefully.
hope it does. It's going to be a new normal. It's going to be more people are going to
Yeah.
be hygienically correct. We're going to wash our hands more. We're going to, we're going to think about others more. We're going to get down to the little things in life and focus and pump the brakes a little bit more and understand that the big picture of business and profit isn't always the most important thing. It's about slow down and freaking doing these things we're doing at our house now, man. I'm learning to cook better. I'm thinking outside the box more. I'm learning to be more creative with my, I mean, I'm literally not leaving my house, dude. I canceled my turkey hunt the last 2 weeks in California. I canceled all my turkey west back south and in the Midwest. I'm not going anywhere. Even though I could go to California and get in the turkey woods, I'm not doing it. I'm going to abide by our leaders and trust them and our doctors and scientists and say, you know what, let's get through this and make it better in the long run. So knowing that we are learning more, teach somebody right now what they can expect by booking a trip with Finz and Feathers. What is it? And then how's Guida's deal doing? It got off to a good start. The gills and thrills with Guida. Talk to me about what the in a synopsis, in a nutshell, what these services are offering.
So Finz and Feathers, we started this back in 2015, me and a good buddy of mine, Mike Pappa. And basically what it is we put together a full year-long schedule. So say our 2020 schedule is launched in December of 2019, we'll launch it. And that's our 2020 schedule. So that goes up on our website under schedule and pricing tab. People can go on there and then you just scroll through. It's going to be a list of all kinds of different species of hunting trips all over the United States. Sometimes, all over the world. We've gone to New Zealand for red stag and all that type of stuff. We go into Mexico for fishing. So we do a bunch of different things. So they'll have a specific schedule set of the species, the location, the date, and then possible celebrities that are going to be joining you. And when I say possible, the reason why we do that is say Uriah Faber is going to go on a Utah mule deer hunt on this date. But when he was fighting, if a fight popped up, because the fight game is so all over the place, it's hard to really lock things down that far in advance. So we give a list of like 2 or 3 guys that if this person, the number one person that's on the list, can't go, that person below it will. If that person can't, the person below that. So there's a list of possible guys. It's going to be one of these guys. Some of the trips we send multiple, like the San Diego tuna fishing trip. We usually put 3 celebrities on there. Usually it's like Dan Henderson's going, me, and Clay Guida. We've had me, Faber, and Guida. We've done just a mix of different guys. So, and so what we do is we book clients on these trips. We'll put together like a small group, and then we send the celebrities on them with the clients. They'll hunt with you in camp. They'll fish with you wherever. If you guys want to drink some beers, still tell stories around the campfire, just kind of make it a unique experience where you get to not only get to go on a really cool hunt or fishing trip that you would probably do anyways, because I go on all these trips before we make them a Finz and Feathers trip and make sure these are all badass trips.
Right.
So I can attest that these are going to be fun. But now you get to do it with some of these guys that you watch play a sport on TV, or we have guys that are actors, someone you watch on a show on TV or whatever it is. And now you get to, build that camaraderie with somebody that you never thought that you'd be able to hang out with. You're going to go spend 5 days in a camp with them, or 3 days on a boat fishing, or whatever it is, And so that's what Finz and Feathers is. And then this last year we added Gills and Thrills with Guida. So he's kind of taken over more of the fishing and entertainment side of Finz and Feathers. Unfortunately, with everything that's going on, a lot of those trips in the beginning of this year have now been canceled, because basically what it is he takes you fishing and then there's some type of entertainment that's paired with it. So whether that be a big UFC fight or a big concert or something like that. So he'll take you out fishing all day one day. Then the next day he gets you in backstage passes to Zach Brown or whoever it is, where you get to do a meet and greet, get to watch the concert, in badass seats or even on the stage or whatever. But obviously because of all this, we can't do any of that. So the Gills and Thrills part is definitely, I think, hurting a little bit more than what, hopefully what this is going to be for Finz and Feathers. But we're just motoring along, man. We got, like I said, this is all out of our hand. We just got to play the hand that we're dealt and keep moving forward. So
it'll come back.
Yeah.
Don't be getting all fired. Don't even look at me that way. You're lucky I can't come through this computer.
Dude, you don't want none of this, bro. Look at those sweaty pits. I've been, I got some dumbbells for my strength and conditioning coach, I went down there and just grabbed a few one day. And I lost like 10 pounds. I had no weights. I'm just basically doing cardio because that's all I could do. I had a stationary bike, or I'd just go run around in my neighborhood. And I'm like, God, I need to lift some freaking weights. So I went down there and finally got some weights, and I'm starting to lift again. It feels good. But yeah,
I've been doing this.
I hate not having weights.
I've been doing this push-up app, man. It's I do it 3 days a week. My workout today is 90 seconds to do 26. And I use good form, and I don't rush them. So you get 90 seconds to do 26. 90-second rest, 90 seconds to do 30, 90-second rest, 90 seconds to do 26, 90-second rest, 90 seconds to do 28, 90-second rest, 90 seconds to do 36, 90-second rest. So that ends up being like 140 or whatever push-ups. And this is my 4th week. That's week 4, day 2. So I did my other day on today's Thursday. So I did it on Monday. I try to spread it out a little bit. So I'll do it today and then Sunday. And it kicks your ass, gets your heart rate up there, makes your chest pop. But I'm mixing it in with some dumbbells. I'm doing box squats on a gator cooler. I'm doing tailgate jumps. I'm trying to do a ton of stuff to stay active. Yesterday, 2 neighbors drove by and stopped and honked. I had my 9-year-old daughter in my driveway doing jumping jacks, 4 sets of 50 jumping jacks, and then we'd lay down, get on our back, and do extended crunchies. And I got her, just doing some PE and physical ed stuff. Just, you got to, it's so hard. It's so hard right now to stay in a routine.
It's so hard, it really is, man. So I've been doing it before I got those weights. I was just doing all body weight stuff too, just tons of push-ups, sit-ups, air squat, like all that type of stuff. But so what I've been doing basically the heaviest weight I have are 45 dumbbells, and it goes 45s, 35s, 20s, and 10s. And so I've been doing, shoulders was today. And what I did was 100 presses with the 45s. And I'd break that up into like anywhere from 15 to 20 each set, and then I'd rest and then do
sitting down or standing?
Sitting down. So I would just sit on my Pelican cooler and I would
gator cooler. He meant to say
so I did
gator.
100 presses with 45s. Then I did 100.
Dude, a gator would eat a pelican. No, go ahead.
Whatever.
You do 100 what?
A pelican would fly off, bro. But I did 50 lateral raises, 50 front raises. I did 100 bent over extensions. God,
dude, that's heavyweight. Like I could see the 45 to 100 pound dumbbells on like an incline bench press for your chest, but overhead, that seems heavy for me, man. 45 pounds that's a heavy overhead press for shoulders.
Well, when I'm lifting heavy, man, I can usually hit the 70s to 80s, but I'm just trying to pump like high reps out with those. The 45s, I'm just trying to get all my archery muscles strong.
For deer hunting, and your and your Benelli finger trigger.
Weight up.
Your Benelli trigger finger for the turkey hunting.
Dude, I hope that Benelli's getting sent over. They're supposed to be getting it all.
Oh, dude, it's going to be awesome. See, just right there, that should tell you. You know what? I should freaking start shooting turkeys the right way. Hey, let me show you. Let me show you what I mean. I got this right here. Let me show you. Let me show you.
Show me, bro. Show me.
Ventilated ported barrel.
Oh, yeah.
High vis sight. Rob Roberts, who's building out your gun. That's the turkey choke. Real tree camo. Turkey sight from high vis. See it there looking down it?
Oh, yeah.
Pistol grip.
Nice. Dude, that is awesome.
Left-handed molly. That's laid out a lot of turkeys, dude, and it's not a bow. This thing is made for turkey hunting and coyote hunting. This is a coyote.
What length barrel is that? 26?
Yep.
I think I'm doing the 24.
This is a 24 right here.
Gotcha. That's what I'm doing then. Oh, no. I'm not, because that's the pistol grip. So it goes 24 pistol grip, 26, then 28. So I'm doing the 26 non-pistol grip.
This is a killer, dude, right here.
It looks like
the patterning on this gun right here with the TSS Federal. Whew.
I'm getting mine all wrapped in kuyu, baby.
I mean, how could you look at this and say, I'm going to go get a bow and arrow and go turkey hunting? That just doesn't make sense. Like, you got to shake yourself. Like when you're going to reach for that bow, there should be like a bolt that goes off like a shock collar on a dog. It should jolt you and go, Chad, quit being a dipshit. Get your gun.
Yeah, but how you feel about that gun is how I feel about my bow.
No, that's impossible too. That's impossible too. Yes. You and John Dudley and all these dudes out there going, "Hey man, I got my stick and string." No, dude, I love it. I love bow and arrow. I wish I was more proficient at it. All right, Chad Mendes, that was fun, brother. I appreciate everything. Tell Abby I said hello. Give the baby a kiss. I can't wait till I can come over the hill into Auburn and hang out and have a cold beer and hit the Traeger. We didn't even get into any Traeger recipes, which we will. Guys, Chad Mendes, Finz and Featherz. What is the exact website?
www.finzandfeathers.com.
With Z's, right?
Yeah, everything. Finz is with the Z and Feathers is with the Z. And then we have our Instagram is @FinzandFeathersGuides.
Go on there right now. Understand that these outfitters, these guides, they're struggling just as much as anybody through the quarantine, trips being canceled. Go support their merch. Go put a deposit down on a 2021 hunt. Do something to show your love. Get their revenue going. Keep it going. Buy some hats. He's got badass shirt designs, long sleeve, short sleeve, sweatshirts. Support these guys. Support the partners and sponsors like the Finz and Featherz is to us. We truly appreciate it. This has been another episode of This Life Ain't For Everybody. I don't even know what to say. The provider mentality, it's out there. Be looking. We'll talk about this on our next podcast too. Chad Mendes, Chad Ward, Chad Belding. We have the Provider Series cookbook coming out, workshops, and an interactive website. So be prepared for that sometime in 2020, going into 2021. We're excited as heck about it. I'll be on the phone call with you tomorrow, Chad. Thank you very much for everything, my man. Any closing words?
Oh, thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you, man. I always appreciate you helping me out with all this stuff.
Anytime. You can depend on us for anything. Let me know if you want some cool photos and assets of ducks and geese for some for shirts. Oh, yeah. I will let everybody know that I won the argument on the turkey archery challenge. And let Ranella know. Text Ranella and say, dude, you got to get Belding on the Meat Eater podcast. You guys could rap a little bit about my different views on what he's got going on.
Cool, I will.
Thank you, brother. Guys, thank you for listening to this episode of This Life Ain't For Everybody. Tom, do me a favor. Please hit that button. This is our main man, Leith Lofton, a.k.a. Hoss. The song's called What You Gonna Do When the Money's All Gone, written by Leith Lofton and Drake White. Peace.
I'd rather be poor, living off in a hole, rich as hell without a soul. Life on earth